In this video, we're going to talk about construction of the ukulele body. We'll talk about bending the sides. We'll talk about gluing the kerfing onto the sides and gluing the bracing onto the top and the back, and then gluing the whole body together. But I wanted to mention a couple things in particular that went into the construction of this ukulele. When you see the photos of the top and the back and the bracing glued into the go bar set, you'll notice that the back is glued in on top of this 30-foot radius dish, and I use that to sand the back. And then when the bracing was glued in to the back, I use it to keep that shape. And then also with the top, you'll notice when you see the pictures of the bracing is glued in on this Solero board, and I use that to put a little bit of relief in the top and create a little tension. And so those are a couple of specific features I wanted to mention because it might not be obvious from the pictures that you see. Okay, we're ready to start bending the sides of our instrument. It is shaped and thickness sanded to just over 60 thousandths. So yeah, it's quite flexible. I've got the heating element heated up to over 300 degrees. So we're ready to start bending the sides. Here you see the sides slipped back into the mold, and the neck block and tail blocks have been glued on. Now we're putting on the kerfing along the sides, and what the kerfings do is they create a gluing surface so you can glue the back and the top onto the sides. All you need to do it is a little bit of glue and a lot of clamps. So this is the back of the ukulele in the go bar clamping system. I used a 30-foot radius dish to put a contour on the gluing surface of the braces, and to glue the braces in, the back is set right inside of the radius dish, and then the braces are clamped into place with the go bars. The braces are glued onto the soundboard in the same go bar system as the back was. The difference is these are glued in using a Solero board, and that only puts a contour on the lower bout. And there isn't as much of a contour with the Solero board as there is on the back, so you don't really have to shape the braces before you glue them on. They will maintain the contour simply by gluing them down on the Solero board. The back of the ukulele is glued onto the body. We put in the braces and shape the braces, and glued on the back, and then I took a router and trimmed it off flush with the sides. I use one form. I find it convenient to have one form where I can do all the different parts of the building that I need. So I have dowels in here that I can use rubber bands to hold the top down while the glue dries. So I'm going to take and put this back in here. And then we'll get ready to glue the top down. So we're ready to glue our top on. All the braces are in place. They are all shaped, and this kerfing acts as a gluing surface. That's all sanded. Another thing that's noteworthy here is you want to line it up with the center of the blocks. That's actually the center of the instruments. So you want to make sure that the center of the top is lined up with the blocks. So what I'm going to do in preparation to get this lined up, I'm going to put a couple rubber bands on here to hold this in place. Okay, then I'm going to line up the notches. On the top and the bottom, because the center of the block might not be exactly in line with where you glued the sides together, but this way you'll get it in exactly the center. And once that's centered, next thing we're going to do is go ahead and mark where the bracing hits the edge of the instrument, so we can notch out so that it will glue flat on top of the kerfing. So I'm just going to go in here, mark a little notch every place where the bracing hits the side of the instrument. And then when I get those all done, we will put notches in the kerfing. I've marked the location where the braces hit the kerfing, and I'm going to use my Dremel, a little tiny router bit that's set to the right depth, so to cut the notches. The notches are cut for the bracing, and so there are different ways you can make these notches, and when I cut my notches, I actually cut through the side. Some people don't cut through the side, they'll just go up through the kerfing, but it's just, for me, it makes it easier to line up when I cut through the lining or the side, and also when I cut the channel for the binding, it cuts through that anyway, so I guess I just find that easier. And so we're going to glue this on. This will just snap in, lined in at top and bottom, again on the block and not necessarily on exactly where the sides line up. I use Tight Bond 2 to glue the body together. I'm not even getting started on the discussion about glues. There's a lot of good information on glues out there. This just seems to work great for me. Works. You got have enough working time, and really sticks once you get it the wood together. So let's get some glue on there. So we've got the glue on the kerfing and on the blocks, and the tricky part about gluing is put enough on to make a good joint, but not so much that it's going to run down on the inside. So I just take a foam brush and kind of spread the glue around and take off any extra. And make sure every part of the kerfing is covered. End up with a little extra anywhere, I can kind of wipe that off. And we're ready to line this up again. Make sure that's all snapping into place. And I don't think you can use too many rubber bands. Just keep them coming. And keep watching it to make sure everything is still lined up. So we've got the glue on, we have all of the rubber bands in place to hold it down. It looks like everything is being held down securely, so we'll let this dry. In the meantime, I will start working on the neck.